Your Excellency, the Governor of our great county of Baringo, Honorable Benjamin Cheboy, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Baringo, very jovial and promising one of our young men in this county, the Speaker of the County Assembly, Vincent, the Leader of Majority, the House Leadership entirely, members of the County Assembly, and also executive members of the County Leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First of all, as the Governor has, from the beginning, has given the apology of my colleagues, members of Parliament, we have spoken with them, and including the area member of Parliament, Charles Kamuren, and all of them, because of our commitment. Right now is a process of budget making in the country. And if you are not there, you may lag behind. We agreed as members of Parliament that we want to further interrogate the budget of this country, because discovered budget begins with departments and presentations by various constituencies and agencies earlier on before it comes to Parliament. And we discovered that we needed to interrogate it at a very early stage. We are trying to catch up with it. And this time round, in our last meeting in Nairobi, we agreed that all of us who are in various committees should be able to be available because of the supplementary budget coming up when Bunge opens. So because of that, they are not with us. They are in Mombasa, all of them. And we have agreed, and I had to escape one committee meeting for this morning in Nairobi to join you. I said, let me excuse myself to join you today. So on behalf of all of them, and on behalf of the area MP, he has given me all the powers of the MP. So any question you have and any anger you have, you can now release it on me on their behalf, and I will really share with them. So I bring the apologies and best wishes for this meeting. That's number one. Number two, looks like it's not popular, even that one. When we want to secure resources, don't you think that is popular? You wanted them to come without going that one? It is a very serious choice. So secondly, I want to congratulate, and I spoke to the speaker last night. We had a long tete up to almost 2 o'clock in the evening with a number of MCAs. He really bombarded me with a lot of questions, and I really felt that I am at home. I want to congratulate you, the leadership in our county, for calling for this meeting. I'm sure the governor remembers that we are really interested, and we have discussed at length, that we need to have a county leadership consultative meeting, and I think this is the right time to begin, and you have done very well. Thank you so much, Speaker, for doing that. Thank you. You are our host today. So I'm looking forward for the governor to call us now, and we bring all the professionals, community leaders, spiritual leaders, political leaders. We all come together. Then we'll be able to share and discuss about Baringo we want in days to come. If you can do that, Mr. Governor, I tell you, you will have done the best for us, and you have laid a foundation for future generation. You and I and others of our generation, we are running against time. We are soon exiting the stage to watch from home. When you are at 70 plus, you are discussing that we want to share the strength we still have by having you people have enough of us as we prepare for that. But I think, Baringo, we need to prepare the next generation properly so that God of heaven and the Spirit of time will be kind to all of us and be able to make Baringo great in days to come. Thank you so much. I like the theme of this meeting attracted my attention. I am a student of the science in leadership and management progressively. And when I looked at the theme of this conference, this summit, strengthening leadership to improve governance, it attracted my attention. I want to share with you in 3 dimensions this afternoon. First, I want to share from the dimension of motivation. I want to motivate you as a leader. Second, I want to speak to the theme of today from the practical, intellectual, and scholarly approaches in terms of dissecting leadership itself as it embraces all leaders from different sectors that makes a society solid and competitive amongst other communities. And the last dimension that I'm going to share with you is the moral dimension of leadership, which appeals to our conscience, our societal values, our own cultural strength that forms the basis of our identity as a catalyst of our who we are. Because there are 2 things that make civilization rise and fall. One is the sound or the financial, what you call the fiscal policy of any civilization, the capacity to collect revenue in order to do 3 things. One, to meet the obligation of what you can call the payment of recurrent expenditure in a country, to be able to pay salaries of your own people and people who render service to your own organization. Second, to be able to do development, which relates to infrastructure and also exploitation of potential wealth in that country that or county that translated into capital for the purpose of enriching and creating wealth for the people. And finally, that particular fiscal policy must be able to pay debts. You must be able to meet your debt obligation. The second thing that makes great and raises people to become strong, it has been historical observation of about 6,000 years ago related to the empires that rose and came down. The second thing is what they call the national pride. You have patriotism in it, the love of a country, a sense of ownership, and which is spread. That when everyone rises up, he feels it is his own country. He's proud to be who he is. He's proud to be a Kenyan. He loves that country. So because of that, I will come from the 3 dimensions, presenting it in one presentation. That's how I intend to do. That helps me to summarize and organize my thoughts together. Finally, I recognize that largely today I'm speaking to the political class. Earlier on, you know, I had one of the officers talk about the meeting is becoming political, and sometimes, yeah, you can't escape. Life is politics. Even in the church, we have politics, Reverend. Bishop was telling me he's attending a synod meeting for tomorrow, Kamuren. That is politics, tupu. And the only difference is that in religion, we are guided by moral conviction, and you are being all the time invited to visit your conscience and to make decision based on what we call more of internally than expectation of the public. So it is political. And without politics, you cannot survive, because that is, if you cannot inculcate politics so that you can debate, then you are encouraging people to fight physically. You know, that is what replaced fighting. Why communities have left guns and they are no longer fighting is because it has been translated to be the war of words. So whoever knows how to speak better wins the day. And so sometimes you get surprised of those who win. And because of that, I want to share with you some of the sayings before I share the real concepts that I have with you. Somebody by the name Maya Angelou. I was discussing with Nelly when she was entertaining me, waiting for my time, and she reminded me, I was looking for these words, who said it and how it was said. Nelly, I found it. Thank you so much. She said Maya Angelou was an American writer. He wrote several books. She was a memoirist. She knows how to write memos. And she was a poetess. She was a dancer. She was a musician. And then she said this, and I quote, "I have learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel." End of quote. It doesn't matter how much, as a politician, do not link development to a cycle of election, because election is determined by other parameters beyond what you do. Development is about improvement of your people, and it must be an intentional action that you want to see the difference in your society, but not about election. You may do so much. We have met, I joined a service in the church as a young evangelist at 20, sometimes mid-70, 1974 to be particular, on the July. And I was ordained as a young minister, what we call it, lay minister in 1977, and so on, towards the end of Kenyatta's leadership. And then throughout, I became a very dynamic, I went to school only to learn English because I had not gone to school anyway. I went to learn the language. And by the time I was in Cabernet Boys, I had almost all my children, and I used to take my report to them. So we meet, we bring reports, the children are coming, we bring to my wife, and they are bringing to their mother. So she was mkubwa ya kupokea habari. But during that time, to date, I saw people cry when they lost elections. As a pastor, I comforted them. We had a moment of praying with them. Some of them did very well, in fact, but they lost it. When Edward, and may God rest his soul in eternity, when he came to power, He was a nominated member of parliament 1966. 1969 to 1969. 1969, we had a contest between two brothers, cousins, William and Eric. 1974, Edward Kiptanui became the member of parliament of the then South Baringo. And for 15 years, if there is anyone who brought about change in leadership of South Baringo, was Edward Kiptanui. Completely, we don't say because he passed on, but and I said in his when condolences the other day, that two things I knew about him. Number one, and we respect him forever for that. Number one is that for Moi to become president, is the man who stood with him in his lowest moment. In 1976, Mzee Moi was coming from Kampala after OAU, and he was mistreated beginning from 1975 after J.M. Kariuki died. The son of Kenyatta, Muigai, slapped Moi at parliament as an assistant minister and told him he was misleading the House by saying J.M. Kariuki had gone to Zambia, blah, blah. When he was coming back from Uganda, he had decided to resign. On the way, he called Kiptanui and he said, come home. And then, to cut the story short, is the one who grabbed his hand when he was holding the pen, threatening to resign. I graded and we graded it. Nobody heard it, but now let us say the truth now. So let me tell you what happened. So that man stood. Number two, I respect him for respect. The man was loyal to his friends. When he became MP, he never forgot his own in 1977, they had KLT Dansan. Almost all of them. 404, the Bartenge, Mondara, all those people. Kinagachogo, that man established, he tried his best. But in 1979, no, he won 1979. 1983, he also won. And from there, 1988, and he tried, but even those he helped were telling them, boy, mamingala. So be intentional, member of county assembly, in the service of your people. Don't hunger your efforts on saying, if I do this one, I will come back. Do it because you are a leader now. This statement by Angelo is that people are more concerned about emotions attached to the leadership that serves them. That are you close to them? Do they feel you? In the book of Proverbs, allow me, because I have a background in the church and you are mostly Christians. I went through Baringo Joshua 2000, which shows statistics of how societies are. Basically, Baringo is a religious county. Baringo is so religious more than several counties, where evangelical churches and Catholics, I never knew, they are forming more than 50% of the total population. And the rest are smaller churches, so Christian churches in this county, they all form 95%. So if you want to rule Baringo, one of the natural social connection is to appreciate the role the church can do in influencing what you do. May I repeat that? If you want to cause change in this county, you do so using areas they can religiously or morally submit easily. The reason why without proper explanation, kutukuti biga Baringo kole kiwech ne in aram ngorot ngorot. Kilyai sege on jita kama ginyo yogot kat, because of that religious conviction. But once you give them the facts, they will agree with you. Lakini ngume ngololje kumenyuru. So, if you want to strengthen leadership of your people, you should understand those areas you can easily use it to the advantage of leadership. And one such is what you can call the natural social connection. In the book of Proverbs, religious, because our people are religious, allow me to read these words of Solomon, 29:2. Quote, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. This leads me to what someone said, how do you and what do you understand about leadership? Because when we talk about leadership, we are not necessarily referring to one leader. We are not talking about the governor of Baringo County, and we are not talking about the speaker of the county assembly, and we are not talking about you in your corner as an MCA or what do you call a CEC or a CEO or wherever it is. But I'm talking about all leaders in various sectors brought together. Of course, politics and political leaders plays a very vital role in becoming the center of what you call leadership. As a politician, you have an exceptional central and pivotal role because of the three roles you have: representation, oversight, and what else? Legislation. That gives you unlimited access and presence over everything and anything, with a lot of privilege in law, where professionals may not be able to enjoy. So as a politician, you are able to gravitate, create a gravitas, which can attract others to spin and create their worth and make their contribution be felt. You have the capacity of making certain families disappear and have other families rise up. Political leader has the power, and I saw it. When Eric and Kiptanui were serious protagonistic camps, we felt it as a community. I come from a sub-tribe of Lembus. Majority of us were with Eric Bomet, and the rest of South Baringo was with Kiptanui. Let me tell you, the families and people gravitated around that Mheshimiwa when we were resisting ourselves, waiting for a leader who never came. We waited, but they continued. They were able to progress, and we diminished in terms of progress because of that resistance. As a spiritual leader, I discovered such a political leader has power, even in your own word. Don't busy yourself about securing the seat in the next election. Come on, do with what you have now. Those are the powers you have now. You are the leader now. Don't live in tomorrow. Live now. You are the one. This is what you have. Don't be intimidated about that future. That will be decided by the spirit of the moment. Some people who think they are strong, they will be surprised the last minute. when our governor shall finish this term, we would want him to come and be a lecturer and tell us, because he has won, he has lost it, and he has won again. What the hell in hell happened? He did not expect people can be that cruel. I remember we shared the last 2 weeks before election. He called me at 6 in the morning and he asked me, Bishop, how do you see these things happening? And we discussed and we were wondering, because nobody would judge correctly and say he had done wrong, because he was the one founding the county. He's among the pioneers. And no one had the script. For fairness sake, we should have allowed him to go the second time to finish what he thought he understood about this monster called devolution. But we became the champions and say, you did not understand how to implement it. Let us put ours the way we want. Then, midterm, the same characters are beginning to call the new governor his master. Sijui what they call Najua. So one day I got mad and I took to the podium and I spoke to our community, and thank God they listened to me. And I said, for God's sake, respect the leader. We elected him. He has our votes. Let us wait for 5 years. Then when we finish, we elect the person we want. Now, Chebo, you're back. Now, write a book so that you can help us tomorrow. What happened? You see? And I thought he was a fine public servant. And he did very well. And I wanted to say this, my friends. Leadership is therefore a set of mindset. This is what the scholars have agreed to give us a simple, and I want to give you a very simple definition of it. Leadership is a set of mindsets and behaviors that aligns people in a collective direction. Yani, if you can mobilize your society to be able to move in one direction. Today, the most privileged sub-county that can do that while closing their eyes is Tiati. Leadership. They can create a mindset and behaviors which can align people, their own community, in a collective direction. And I want to tell you, members of County Assembly from Tiati, take advantage. Kabla wajuaji wafike. Guide your people to the right direction. That enables them to work together and accomplish shared goals and helps them to adjust to the changing realities, because things will never be the same. It will change. If we are to progress as Baringo, I want to tell you, and the theme of my speech today is that leadership matters. The reason why we should strengthen is because leadership matters. Perhaps because we are at home, Governor, allow me to make this observation and challenge us as leaders in Baringo. When devolution came, we never had time as Baringo County and leadership in Baringo to sit down like we have sat today and ask ourselves, from here, where do we go? We did not discuss. So we allowed His Excellency, the governor, to grapple with this government and think. But I wish we discussed. I wish we came together. Baringo, we are a cosmopolitan county. Tugen's community is the majority, But we have the minority community in Jamus. We have the Tiati brothers from the Pokot. We have the minorities from other tribes around Eldama Ravine and several other areas. Where do we want to go from here? And what are the deliverable flagship projects that we should have in the next decade? We have received, I'm sure, on the average, graduating from 3 billion, was it 3 billion, the first one? 3 billion to today, slightly 7 billion. We can work on it and average it, so we can say about 5 billion by year, or yeah, we can average it to that because the difference is a bit, let's say 5 or 4. But let us put 5 because of easy mathematics. I'm not a mathematician. I am a social scientist. I think in 12 years, yeah? Yes, in 12 years, we are having 60 billion. But because we did not have priorities which were clear, smart, achievable, that we could say for the next 5 years, we want 5 flagship projects to be completed. And we agree as county, and we go for the, what you call public participation. We challenge, then we would have succeeded in 2 things: achieving a project that succeeds, and then enable the government of Baringo to use all the monies required. Because of us staggering, and then when we come to the county, we have our own push and pull. Today, we would be, some counties tried to do that, to pull together. And that comes as a result of not depending on the governor alone. It takes every one of us. We are I was asking the speaker and our team last night, Governor. I asked them, when you are playing your role of oversight, you must challenge yourself. What is it that you are oversighting yourself? What are you oversighting? How do you oversight? In government, as I'm going to share with you, there is what they call statecraft. Statecraft has 3 components, which is cascaded down. As a scholar of governance, one professor wrote, and he talked about, for any successful leadership, he must enjoy a byproduct of a system that brings about 7 dimensions in realizing the goals of governance. And he gave the following. 1, for a government to work, it must have a strategy. It must have a strategy. And that strategy is a plan. I think that is simple terms. Sun Tzu, who wrote the book, The Art of War, he said, strategy without tactics is a long route to victory, yet tactics without strategy is a noisy route to failure. Kelele pepe, yani kona ya kukata kona, itile kona, gomi mwauditab gole njini kagile masire kible kwet, geme uswagi goying, kenam. The second thing is structure. The third thing is the scope of government and of workload and of the project, of the kind of formation that you would like to carry you. The fourth thing is the size. The other one is the scope. How far can you go? How can you extend yourself? And then he mentioned the staff and skills, so that we don't even employ people kwa kujuana. Yani, igojine wa were mi were tap sanga nyone miga ne tebia buch. Are ibwe bi ketebizot buch konyu kukwiri nyalel tap kuron. We rather have them stay at home. Sige cheng big che gasi ko gas. So go cheng jitu chome. Uma wa suano. Isutu nyeji na matinye kita dia hi aminga gina macha ko yai aginyo gereng marinta usioto amoborngo. Let us look for skills. I don't care the damn whether he comes from my neighborhood or he comes from the other one, for long as he makes this institution called government to work. Lazima sangavana gelengo meseri igase tungo yoyin. Akose ne ndagegas. Gzire nage negekose. Yani nyugo walge jito tutakuona tutaonana wakati huo. Tuo si tuonane. Sirengene sena aksena. Sindio. We must be bold. You see, we must be bold, my brother. Don't fear. In TRT, this question of saying being branded to be bandits, to be whatnot, what will change TRT is the leaders, the leadership of TRT. Professor Howard Gardner, in a book, and I recommend you buy for yourself. You can buy soft one, or you can go and buy. In fact, Textbook Center has it. Has one of the books called The Leading Minds. He has written several of them. But he wrote one called The Leading Minds. And he has he's calling The Leading Minds, the Anatomy of Leaders. He has 11 characters, which includes Margaret Thatcher, Margaret Meads. These are the characters, even the civil rights movement, Roosevelt, and so on. He said this: all societies remain amorphous not until leadership comes to provide divination. End of quote. Also, he adds the following, that the history of the world is not about common men, but it is the history of leaders as they divine their generation. So, Tugene, you cannot know Tugen in history. Nobody knows Tugen in nobody knows. The people who are known, you can Google them. Daniel Toroitich Araf Moi. Pultut was a chairman of county council. Mayor Chelagat, blah, blah. MP Willie Kamuren, who was an MP of TRT, Baringo East, before he came to North. Osea Kiblakat, yes. Paul Tergat, people who have played an outstanding. When history shall be written 100 years to come, all these other characters, Charlie Jininye, Ingelegere Mat, Magereji in history, they will disappear into the rubbish pit of history. So it is your time to write. It is your time to write the pages of history and guide your people, not what they feel good about. If you allow me, I will do that. And I'm a party MP, and therefore I speak the mind of the center of government, and I will share with you. I know you may want the other S, which is known, is run. Is it an open government? It's usually justice is there. But justice is either given or denied. I got mad one time as a bishop. We have several advisors as a chief executive of the church. And one morning I woke up and I said, I'm reading the book of Jeremiah chapter 9, 23 and 24. I'm speaking about justice. So my diocesan chancellor, that's a lawyer, took me through the law. He said, Bishop, before you speak and before you write your message, would you allow me to have a sitting with you? I said, yes, sure, tell me. And then I sat down and he told me, Bishop, justice is never absent all the time. I said, that's true. And why is not given? Well, John, it is either given or denied. My mind spin, and he said, let me give you what they call jurisprudence in guiding the law. I said, well, how does it happen? He said, listen, allegations, a judgment is a product of the following process. And listen, I became a student. Number one, allegation. You know, allegation. You had some allegations going on even today here. He said, allegations. That is unproven claims, apportioning of certain mistakes and negligence, and so on, right? Allegations. Plus evidence, plus the law, plus environment of making decision. It might be necessary intelligently that if that justice is given to you, it will hurt more people and give you the enjoyment of that justice. Yet, if you are denied at that time and allowed to appeal in the next court, by the time you get your justice, we have saved the general public and we save you now. Do you hear that? So, sometimes, par chibita, that means par agi chibit. The other one is what they call it. I don't know, Olega Gimon, umesikia hiyo? Unajua kuna neno la Kimasai, olo osek? Unajua hiyo? Tactics. They say, then in politics, there is a second one. Hiyo ya parchipita is what I've explained in English. Justice is present, but you are denied to save the majority. Then the second is olo osek, yeah, ngom gong natet, where you deny without denying. It is common in diplomacy. The language of France, French people, they speak that language, where they deny you without appearing to have denied you. They will tell you, I think you need to go back and check. There is something amiss we are looking for. And they have it. And they know it. By the time you go, by the time you come back, you find another officer and not the first one. When you arrive, they say, can you let us check for the one who was handling this case? Who was he? And then there are moments of, let me not go for that one, they call all betters. It is a bit serious. Anyway, yeah. Yeah. Kapetesne. Yani, have you ever heard where vijana wanasema ukicheza nitapita na wewe? Yeah. Okay. Anage, anguga nae. Yani, you know, there are times when in parliament, people do things you will never believe they can do it. And they make parliament to stop. And you don't know what is happening. Kumbe, there is something that needs to be avoided. And yet it has become necessary, and it has positioned itself in a very privileged way, and that government was going to lose or the country can fall into a ditch. Something happens. You wouldn't like me to tell you that. Those are intelligent issues. You remember, can I tell you one? It was during the repeat of election of 2017. You remember what happened on the 25th of October when the churches were to come and make a ruling. When one judge came out in the morning and he found that his usual driver has been changed. And the security is different. And their look is threatening. He had to go back. Do you still want me to explain? I'm talking about governance. Did you say about strengthening leadership for stronger governance? But you see, it must be within the law, isn't it? One of the judges was in Mombasa and he could not come. The flight was not available. The rest is history. Because if we had allowed that to happen, there was going to be bloodshed in the country. So you must act in a manner that you ensure public good. Public good. You see, you hear people talking about agitation, freedom. You remember during the freedom in 1900, one emancipated slave walked through the streets of Azusa, and he was lifting his hand and saying, "Oh, freedom, freedom over me, freedom." And soon he knocked the nose of a white man. And then he drew the can and he said, "Listen, my friend, your freedom ends where the beginning of my nose sticks out. Yeah, that is the boundary. You are not free beyond there." So some freedoms got some limits. You can't be free to destroy a country. You can't be free to destroy the county of Baringo. You can't be free to talk anything that will embarrass and make Baringo collapse. Even when you are exposing, even our members of the press, for example, you learn from your counterpart in Europe. They don't write everything. In fact, they avoid showing some of the serious scenes and they blur them. Ours report every detail, even the way somebody has been chinjwad. And you know, the next moment, people can go to the street. In 2007, one of the things that exaggerated bloodshed in the country was the media, because it lacked patriotism. If you are to be the leader and encourage, leadership demands that you act with a lot of due care about what can come out. I want to conclude with two things so that we can have some few questions. Is that one, everything, this is what John Maxwell said, everything rises and falls on leadership. You cannot go around complaining, hii watu yangu ya Mogotio, or watu yangu ya Central, watu yangu ya Baringo North, watu yangu ya ward ya Bartabwa, sijui ward ya wapi, unasimama mbele ya watu. And you are lamenting and saying, hawa watu yangu, hawa, namna hii. Everything, let me tell you, falls, it rises and falls on the feet of a leader. And may I repeat that? If you hear a leader being a victim of his own people, then he is the wrong leader to be there. And God put you there because you are a curse to them. If you are a blessing to them, you will always and constantly be looking for the answer. And don't expect everybody to love you. Even the Son of God, who was healing the sick, was betrayed by one of his apostles. Some of your peers will betray you. Even your own clansmen will betray you. In Parliament today, some of those who are members of Parliament, some of them were peers of former members of Parliament. While he was issuing CDF, he was building himself and pulling down his friend. Some of the people you work with, you think they are friends, they are pulling you down. Come on. If Jesus was not spared, who are you? No, don't mind about that. Do what is right. All the time, do what is right. When Maxwell said that, leadership therefore matters because nothing comes to success without leadership. The second thing I want to share with you in conclusion, as I give you some few thoughts, is that leadership matters because people matter. It has always been, it will be, it is, as long as people are and they matter, then leadership matters. So whoever was telling our young men, the Gen Zs the other day, you become tribeless, leaderless, rudderless, is an enemy of our children. And I have got no apology about it. That is not the right thing to give to our children. Whoever told them that you will be leaderless, you will be tribeless, you will be less, fearless. There is no one in the world who can survive without a little fear. You have to have kidogo. I come from a very courageous lot of family, but let me tell you, the greater the courage, the equivalent greater is the fear. Because the decision you are almost making can cost lives. You must have some fear in you. Therefore, it matters. Leadership matters. It has been, it is, it will be. Because people will be looking for purpose. People will be looking for someone who cares. Because people will be looking what they want, and they want to be associated with a sense of belonging. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to leave these words with you as I conclude. Leadership matters because it affects your faith. It affects your belief system. Gondo unjinea iyo itu. Kondo ungebarangalia ibarangaloni. In 1971, because I had not gone to school, so I used to tend the cows and bush of my parents. I used to be faster than I am now, but still growling on the ground. But we used to stay, we come and take a shower in Jeptonglo, in one of the dams. Then there was an old man who was a witch. He became my friend. And because he's my role model, he's elder, he began to teach me to sing songs. Jibobonik, the one for... yeah. So I came home in the evening one day. So Mama was cooking, and I began to sing the song. My friend, Mama, I can stop cooking and say, "Can boy ne joget yun? Kau ini tu ngah, kalau ini tan boy jauh taraf semua." he removed, there is a type of wood which is used in coloring milk. You know, that's a hardwood. That one is a bit mild. Sosio ni ya kuosha. Lakini ite, neginese zote, my friend. Anyway, niliona moto. I did not sing again, and I'm not about to sing it, but I have not forgotten it. Leaders matters because it affects your faith. Leaders, for example, somebody said, including politicians, government officials, and managers, may serve and lead from the front, and they do so as role models in what the society will consider as appropriate, and may thus shape their followers' beliefs about the behavior of others and society in general. I'm not talking about perfection. Yani, Gele, you are an angel. I'm not talking about producing church elders, although among the leaders you get church elders. I'm not talking about priests who are dictated by the sacrifices they made for people. But David, when God wrote his eulogy, there are two people who wrote the eulogy of David. One was God himself. This is what he said. David was a man after my own heart. Do you think about David? You think about David? He never lost the moral compass, and he never guided his people away from trust in God, even in his weaknesses. So I'm not looking for a super human being in you, but I'm looking for an influence of moral values in society. Governor is my friend for a long time, even when he was working with the help, and he kila kwamba boy na giyoktoi boyship. During a very serious moment of 1997, and my community, the Lembus, were moving out of Kano to join DB. He was saying, DB! Now he was sent to look for the top leaders of the community. He went round. But he remembers that Moi, why Baringo is strong with Christianity, is that Moi never failed to go to church as a president. He was leading us. You cannot be empty. So even you learn to guide your people to where they can fear God. If you are a Muslim, be in the mosque on Friday. You are a Christian, be in the church on Sunday. Of course, as a governor would like to be everywhere, every church, to make sure he's making all of us comfortable. But society will respect you when you have a constant church and you come to ours once in a blue moon. Yeah, people are fair. Don't think they demand, but they want to see you going there. So you are telling them, yaga go ngale na buchamu biga Olimbanos maliana gorom gido ele yaga go chas igur mungu. This is how you can guide the society, so that people don't look at you when they discover you are as weak as they are. They give up as a society and commit suicide, and they go for alcohol, they go for drugs. Tell them there is God. That is how Mzee nurtured and created an epitome of educational center in Kabarak. Produce what you call Kabarak's phenomena, where we have had professors, what you call educationists, administrators, people who, even today, I think, Governor, you still feel the impact of Kabarak radiating. And it is really, we have so many people. It's like the employment caused by Kimngeno Aramngeny, Agmea Chalagat. It was a phenomenon, you know, when they empowered our people, taking 10% from the presidential, the president gives Kogon, Poyot Kolo, Chugabo, Uribembi. That's why we are what we are today. Let us lead with values. Let us lead with values. I don't know how you take it, because there is no way you can empower people unless you speak to their emotions. And then unless you speak to their, what we call the belief systems. If you do that, you lead with faith in mind, what you will do is that you will connect the people to their past. It becomes, you give them anchorage on which they can be sustained. And what you are encouraging is a sense of belonging. So legito abane kabanu korenyu ko sajo aine ko sajin moyot ko tambrirse I am Mil James. No, he says it until he's shaking. Don't feel shy about it. Abaga barao. Pag basiso. You know, that kind of thing. It holds you morally. And it does the following. It stabilizes you and stabilizes the present, even when you are making decisions as you guide your people. It also gives you the confidence to face the future. I still have a home where I belong. Yeah, and it was allowed even in our society when women are married off, because we are patriarchal society. They were allowed, when they are feeling they are in a dead end, they should invoke the name of their father or the brother whom they follow each other, or the mother, mostly the brother or the father or the uncle. But men were allowed to invoke the name of their mother. You have heard me many times talk about about Talai. You know, you speak when you hear somebody speak in the name of the mother, things have reached there. So usually they say, don't go across them, because they can announce Peter away. You know that sense of belonging. So as a leader, if you want to strengthen your governance and your capacity to meet your people, be able to inculcate the issues of faith. Leadership matters because it affects our families. Because it is possible to look for wealth, Felix. And we find that nobody will take over from us. And do you know you can be a politician and roam around and you take care of everybody and you educate everybody. By the time you come home, you have nobody. You find your son left home. You find your daughters left home. And you are coming to an empty nest. You are too old. Your wife will be told, Australia. Then may I appeal to you? Your leadership will affect not only the families of the people you lead, but also it will affect your own family. Take care of them. Take it from me. When I think where I came from and the things I did to reach where I am, I fear. I even don't want to start. Today, I have asked permission in my family Mama, you know, women are getting stronger and stronger. I don't know where they get the strength. The more we continue, they are getting stronger and I'm getting weaker. So I've asked permission. Please, Mama, what do you want? If you want this, I'll give it to you. If you want this, it is possible to be busy with county and you lose. Silangwengu. You need to live beyond your generation. It doesn't matter if you have one wife, if you have two, if you have, just be honest and be a family man, a family woman. Be able to, and when it doesn't work, I usually tell them in Kalenjin, for example, and I think even the Maasai indeed, in Kalenjin, all of them, if the child belongs to the clan where the father comes from, and in the unlikely event that that family are not able to, the children cannot identify themselves with the patriarchal family, they are free in our culture to identify with the family of the mother, kamama. And they are kwa wajomba. And wajomba hawa watawafanyia mambo mawili, matatu. Kama hawa watu hapatikani tena milele na hiyo clan imepotea na hawa kujulikana, watapewa clan's right. And they usually say, tanyit, and they give another animal, but within the same family. Tanyit. Second, they are, for those who initiated them, who took them through initiation, koyotito. Wendi tumda. Amugigi gojindenta kugomo. And number 3, they could give them out in marriage, so that they can start a family. So in essence, Kalenjin, the pastoralists, and other communities in Africa did not have a destitute child. So can you lead your society and make sure those values are inculcated, because they will come to you. You are able to encourage the chief, council of elders. Don't do that arbitration, because you will have a problem. It is costly in politics. Just what you need to do is invite the, you know what you do? You ask, where are the elders? And then before the elders go, you remind them as a leader. Some of them elders have okoten, they are professionals. And they walikaa Nairobi, maana sasa hakuna kazi, wamerudi mashambani. Kunyo kuekicha kikubo yopku. Lakini mengi tukiteseta ngokwa. But you as a politician, you are everything. You are the chief, you are the pastor, you are the everything. Because people, all the problems are coming to you. But apportion them to social strength. You may not have to remember me, but remember this: that leadership matters because it affects your family in 3 dimensions. Number 1, identity. It solves what you call identity crisis. I am sure you are facing now what families are facing. That really we are experiencing a storm in our families now. Yeah, depending on age. What will sustain them is the family values, so that they can identify the common important interest. A governor was telling my fellow leaders last night that never work with anyone who has no interest personally. The reason why in meetings you have to declare your personal interest is because it is believed and assumed that you cannot be a leader without a personal interest. Because you will be a loser and he has nothing to lose in case of any partnership. The best partnership is where every one of us has something to lose. And one of them is you have personal interest, You have family interest, you have community interest, and you have county interest, and you have a national interest. And for me to respect you, koye itinye nye personal interest, I know you can save family interest, community interest, because you have something to. I know majority of you are Christians, and Jesus said, "Love your neighbor as you love yourself." You begin with yourself. So I'm not. I hope you are not mistaking me to preach. I'm not preaching. You know me, I'm a preacher. But this one is not preaching. It's to do with professionals. I'm saying there is what it does. Leadership and encouraging families will give your people a sense of belonging. The second one, you are going to get a social order. We are soon risking to lose social order because I am scared because of what I went through in Parliament the other day to call my grandchildren Gen Zs. I'm hesitating because there is power in a name. There is power in a name. Because you think twice. What does that name connotes? This generation is having a serious challenge because of technology. The fourth industrial revolution, which has digital, it was internet, now digital. The latest of it, because it has 3 dimensions. One is virtual reality. No, it is the first one is a virtual reality. There is what we call data, which, the first one is data, where huge information can be managed in a chip, where we used to build libraries and huge archives can now be accommodated in a chip. That is the first one, volume, in a smaller place. Secondly, is silos in the same data, that it can put them into compartments, and it is on a fingertip. Yani you are pressing it this way. And number 3 is the velocity, the speed at which information comes. So number 1, this generation has the highest information inflow and the most informed generation without capacity to process it. That is challenge number 1. Challenge number 2 is the virtual reality, where you don't have to go to the field any longer to learn how to pilot, for example. You only get into a cube of a simulator and you feel like you are in the sky. And you can learn how to pilot a commercial jet from the comfort of a small cube through a simulator. And the third dimension of this technology in terms of the fourth industrial revolution and how it impacts on humanity is AI, where intelligence of a human being, the brain, has been simulated into an artificial being. Do you know a robot can travel with you from Japan to New York? And they can feel the form applying for a passport without the aid of any human being. And the form asks, are you a robot? Have you seen that? Are you a robot or a human being? That is not michezo. It is true. They feel it and say, I am a robot. And they work with you. You will only look at the way it is. It has no feelings. But it keeps on. And it uses the lasers. what this technology will do, and you are a leader to lead that generation. I don't envy you to be father and mother in this generation. I don't envy, and yet I'm blessing you to have children. It will affect the way we work, it will affect the way we live, and it will affect our economic policies. It has the following impact on your children. Number one, this brings what we call, because of too much information, the children becomes restless. They lack patience. And they cannot sustain even a job beyond 2 years or 3 years. We employ our children and you will see them leaving the job. This question of P&B, which used to be the pride of employment, is not with them. They go for contract. The second thing you will witness in these children, because of AI and technology, is what we call high sense of entitlement. They have the highest bragging rights without working for it. You sit in the room watching news at 9 o'clock, and your son walks from his bedroom while going to eat, because he gets late to eat. After coming home, he goes to the room and watches the gadget. Then he comes down, kama anatoka gorova, while you are seated with visitors and watching news. And he comes and switches the television off and start his own program. All of us, we are watching, and we did not ask him to come and shut the television. Huh? Number three, this generation has the highest dependency syndrome on technology. They are Googling out everything and anything, including they want to try and Google food to their table. And finally, this generation has a certain heart of philanthropy, that they want to make a difference in people's lives, and they don't know how. You can be surprised one morning he has come into your wardrobe and take all the clothes and distribute to the poor. You will be surprised one day he opens the house and you find the whole village is eating in your kitchen. Yeah? This is what Albert Einstein said. He said, technology will reduce humanity to idiots one day. I don't think we have reached there, but we are soon. The final thing that I want to conclude as a thought is that leadership matters because it affects our resources. Baringo will be poor depending on us, and Baringo will progress depending on us. Don't wait for an angel from heaven. We can do it. Pananigurani amwaje. Agobore moni amwaje. Kiuta, let's make that decision and make it now. In this summit, let us agree that resources is one of the mark of a success of any generation of leadership. Let me read what somebody wrote amongst the researchers, and they said this, and I quote, leadership matters because it directly impacts how resources are utilized and managed within a group of organization, influencing efficiency, productivity, and overall success by ensuring resources are allocated effectively and equitably, maximizing the potential and minimizing waste, essentially acting, that is leadership, as a multiplier for the value of those resources. Quoting from scholars. Baringo, my friends, is a rich county. Baringo County has many natural resources, including land, including water resources and catchments, including minerals, wealth underneath, including forests, wildlife, and above all, people. Baringo, among our sub-tribes of Kalenjin, we are among the most agile workforce given in a country. Vale. With kimache inyoru kiboitinik biik chebo che serious eng tuguk che yoe. Amamwoe ni aunye. Amwoe ni kokas biik tugul. Mami biik che resilient kou biikab Baringo. We are among the top educated in terms of literacy. It is only our brothers in TRT, and which they are coming up very fast. Very fast. It is, indicators are very good, the way TRT is coming. In the next 10 years, TRT will not be only likelihood of being number one in Galegab education, but it will among the top 10. Because of their resilience. I really like the way these younger leaders coming up, Governor. They are somehow moving away from the mentality of isolationism to proactivism. We want you to change the language of being marginalized. Don't do that. Devolution came in so that it solves that problem. You need a sub-county, you are given. So are the Iljams. Because of their resolve, they are among the some of the leading minorities who they are in the public service more than even the Tugans themselves. And I congratulate them for that. Instead of inculcating victim mentalism, go for proactivism. Moving forward, because we are in midterm, Mr. Governor, we need to have one more meeting as a community. We were in the Weston Hotel the other day when our professionals presented. The president asked a question through his staff and said, Baringo, what is it ne achievable onyoru araka agotoretok milele? What is it? Can you imagine? King Warmedit, Kimaje up Jamasusu, Agogi Genyoru is Taimaji Itane. Kimaje Jalio and the other Namnai. So we need to sit and agree that in the remaining, because I believe we are winning the election in 2027, in the next 7 years, yeah, what do we want and what do we want to achieve? Don't be on the side of saying, Dagi Buti, we don't need you here. Kimaje jita nele na saome esir kotorete Mungu. When we were doing election 1992, Actually, we are on the brink. We were losing the election. We had to go closer to the president and encourage. Your Excellency, from the spiritual world. And that's what I spoke to him. When everybody was mum, in the prayers, and which was true. Your Excellency. Fought. My friend, we were losing. I will be Jim Koi we go losing. Majat ka tukul ko tare ne ko win. Kutu bisu ko le. Kisi remban. Oh, aleji maje gel ko lo nge jam tenge. Aleji iwe ni. Magi jam toge ko mamwa Mungu. Ke leji po yod. Don't know Your Excellency. Give me go about it. And the man had friendship with the church. The rest is history. Mawamu se ko so I said in garara ne. Agoni. So yo te vana ko skale. Yo le ni gi cho me ka magi cho me je. Mu ko sa ko male. Ana jo jam de ge Baringo. Umoi wo ngo sa se ba wo jige ma pe ma. Amu mo ga nya ne jin yo jam de ge. Amma ji de ne bar sut. Ki je ga besa. So my ngale. In that 7 years, what will we do? So I want you to lead the leader as he leads us. Let us forget our differences and unite for a purpose and discover what is Baringo in need. Of the lake and create an industrial park, and then we ask our brothers from Pokot, between Pokot and Tiati and Baringo South and Baringo North and Samburu, can we create an industrial park here which we will bring industrial development and revolution for Baringo, including the one of the largest irrigation, that we take the water from Lake Baringo and pour it. We do irrigation with them. Is that what we can do in this area? And then we come and do what we call public participation, and said majority of PESA, which we would have used in building school, we no longer need them. We are building almost enough schools, by the way. Too soon the population is reaching a peak from the Kalenjin community and begins to come down. In the next 10, 15 years, that population growth will begin to stabilize and come this way. Tiati will still climb kidogo. It is faster, going up, very speed. Hata na inaenda kufika hapo juu inakuja. So we can still manage. Our population is about 670. We are almost 700. I think so. 700,000 right now. We are occupying a land of 11,000 square kilometers. It means one person per kilometer. Yani one person in about 60 acres or something. We still have large land, and we can use it to enrich our people. So I want to mention this. I know you know that underneath, because we have few cows, we have 300 and something thousand. They are about 400,000. Banyek. About 47,000. Jego. Kitinye nego about 900. That's almost 1 million. It's 1 million. Kejirek are about 200 and something thousand. And ngamia kidogo. Ngangiri ngamia kitinye ngoroni. They are about 5,000 or something. Kitinye kokai ganyo over 1 million. Over 500,000. Now, we want to begin from the second process, and that is the one for using our animals to enrich our people. It is not possible, galden tuga keldo jidagoreti, keldo en kila genge 450 shillings at home, kwalda jita en dagoreti about 1,000 600, sometimes 1800, 3000. En kilo 100 nebo teta neiyoldoen 450, calculate times 100 kilos, inyoru siling ata en teta? 45,000. Waldaen inendet 3,000 per kilo, 300,000. The market nekikinyoru en Europe nekisignen president on the 19th of June 2027. 2023. I'm sorry. Nguka wenye kajakte. Katepso kusumbwana mbigi ni sayo te kuona ngai nene manenyu. Alipoti alena nakaso manangido. 2023 kokikisignen in June. Alengore nye. 2023 19 June kokiyotwe market 27 countries of Europe. Sikikoite mbanyek amu michine kasi en ngurono kologo nature mu it is cheaper to import than to do taking care of animals. Kongot komanda tuga je jog komanda teta kume kwendi dagoreti. The reason why they are resisting this vaccine problem is because tagage kerut tuga je jog kume kwendi tuga dagoreti. Kando inde nyono mito kotorit kotinye bucherisiek alen bokol. Tile tuga tiati chebo ngorora, chebo olimbano, chebo northeastern, ako boisie. So it will be taken using the dollar. Keibuchi nyikole bendo en Kenya. Ko ingilaje kolenjin komakitinye sisi watu ya ng'ombe, hatuna kitu inayoleta dola kutoka nje isipokuwa ng'ombe yetu. Sasa tumepata market. Ya kwanza ni European, ya pili ni United Arab Emirates. So when they took the sample of our meat, they discovered kulemita dudu ya foot and mouth disease and other tropical diseases. That is why a need for a mass, when the president came back to call all the veterinaries, he asked them what is happening. They said the vaccination has been erratic, and that is why we have not been able to eradicate. Hence, the government said, let us do a mass vaccination. It is in our interest. It will be per dollar is almost $20 or $30, $20 per kilo. How much is that? $1 at 130. Yeah, 2,600. And then they are encouraging what they call feedlots, which will now improve our animals. Iba tuga tamanenwega ega agenge. Iba tuga bola kenga kiba in the feedlot. Within 6 months, you have a cow of 300 kilos or 400 kilos. You multiply by $20 per kilo. How much is that? This is why we are saying we must vaccinate our animals. I want to mention this to you as I close on this point, is that we have minerals in Baringo. One Muzungu told me the rubies that we have here in Marigat, the brown one, is worth over $1 billion. That is almost 130 billion Kenya shillings. But because of prospective trajectory that was, some private companies have already owned it. So, Governor, we are not scaring anyone that we want the government to take over. So we want anyone who has earmarked the resources that we have in Baringo, let them come and exploit it. So that the dues for government, the dues for the county will come. We have gold, we have rubies, we have gold, we have manganese, we have, which one? There are about 5. They have diatomite, and we have fluorspar and geothermal. The wealth underneath is enough to educate the children of Baringo if for free. Will you do it if we didn't do in our time? Will you do it? Mami besen, this is your country. Eme wang ni mami jine your job. Mami besen ta na kumwa kele ngangangangi kisomata. Kwele ndonyo kusute menya ngot kekar kurge. Obaluntu kugenga. Because if you don't do it, Wazungus will make us fight like this war of the Turkana, the Pokot, the Karamoja, the Oromo, the Congo. This belt up to the Horn of Africa, that war is not African war. It is a war which is waged by modern day neo-colonialism. As I speak, they listen to me. But do I care? That's not our war. As long as we fight the Pokot, the Kalenjin, the Tugen, as we fight with the, then they send their agents. They are mapping out natural resources. And in Baringo, Governor, I think Amuzungu told me, he was working with this, there is a body which is working, which has this resources on the fingertips, which is, it's a very serious body. I will not mention the name. He told me even oil is here along Kerio Valley. We have oil there. Why don't we do it? And then the other thing is the issue of water. We have water catchment on the Tugen Hills. Rengengien sururian de Tugen. Kutumjin pek mogoswag akturukwe. Tons of water. If we can invest on that and we can say, Governor, don't waste your time doing other things. We pay mshahara ya watu na ile madeni kidogo iko namna hii, but let us concentrate on harvesting of water so that we can plant fruits in the entire Baringo. We will be able to take to the whole world. Why don't we agree? Nyege moye mengengen na hii inji yati tumwage maji jae. You said it very well. Mwage maji jae huko baka ng'ombe na kuwa kubwa. Hawa vijana hawezi kukimbisa. Tetanete moye ilabatina. Tena watu wenyewe wenye kukimbia wanaanza kunywa maji mpaka na kuwa wakubwa. Kama mimi na Lekakemon na nani mwingine. Sisi ratili kubwa hii. Hata Sialo huyu kijana yangu huyu na wengine hatuwe yani hata Lawe yani huyu tukikimbia sasa ufika hapo hawezi kimbia ila bote tetamgo lakini anaweza ile ng'ombe yake ya ravini maana ng'ombe akichoka hata yeye amefanya nini amechoka. Sasa hii ya Tirioko yani anakimbiza ng'ombe ambaye haichoki na hata naye binadamu haichoki yani bendi usire katoi pale toi hii ngozi yao hapana chomwa na mipa. Kwani wanafanyia nini mipa ile? Anyway, we have to have water enough. Allow me to end there. I have more, but let me end it there. Thank you for listening to me. It's one of the longest speeches, and I want to encourage you that we be one as Baringo. I encourage you. We have worked on our differences as members of parliament. We're working as one, and we believe in the direction Baringo is going if we work together with the MCAs. I want to admit that there has been a disconnect in terms of information between us, the members of parliament, and our county members of county assembly. I want to admit. But I want you also to appreciate as a real fact that immediately you are elected to be members of county assembly, you started also to campaign to leave the same seats and go for another seat. So that's a challenge in politics, you know. You say, but I have not said. But how come people are talking about it? They want MP. So I was asking myself, yeah, they also did the same. So it is pay time. Eh? Payback time, eh? No, but I want to encourage you. YMCS. So that is why. But let me ask, whereas that ambition should be there, I think it is a question of timing. If we start too early, then our own constituency will be more politically saturated, and we may face some march of resistance. So I think that is some of the threats, and you don't have to fear. Then the other thing, Governor, I hear, but we will say that in our in the Kamkunji, but I want to say you're worried kwamba maybe kuna watu ambayo wako na tikiti kwa mfuko kwa chama, and that creates anxiety in the whole system. But this is the fact. For now, let us focus on maximizing the 2.5 years and see that we bring what we don't have to Baringo. You talked about security road. I'm sure there will be an answer in Parliament and the county assembly. But let me talk about security road as a national government initiative. And we have agreed as members of Parliament with under the leadership of our governor that we have earmarked the security roads. What we did not have were resources. Now, as I'm going to share with you later on about the state of economy of our country, we are in a better position, and what is going to happen and cause a movement of development is beginning with this, what do you call it? This coming estimate, which is supplementary budget, which is coming. The government and exchequer is planning to release some money towards the payment of pending bills. And it is determined by the beginning of next financial year, we will have cleared all the pending bills. So that, and that will ignite now development. Parabareta Muchongoi, Parabareta Psoi, Niwendiagoi, Mogorwa, and then the beginning of the security roads. It is true. Who did say, I have not seen it? Mujumbe representing Tomaro, where the rubber touches the road. Yes, it has not started. I agree with you. But Matauga Muma misiling about it. Kewaga Lagene Maya. It is coming. And we have agreed on that as your leaders. And we have agreed, and that is the direction we are taking. So with those few, many remarks and many conclusions, Bongo Missing, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Let's appreciate Bishop Makofi Mazuri Jameni. Kindly, I want Bishop to just hold on.